Oregon, a land of adventure and awe.
That was a great take.
A treasure, majestic and hidden. A state that calls out for exploration and experience. The journey of discovery begins now. From KGW, this is Grants Getaways.
Hi there, I'm Grant McComey, your host and outdoor reporter for KGW's Grants Getaways, where each week we explore Oregon's people, places, and outdoor adventures. You know, most news reporters that I know are like stones skipping across the surface of a pond that is moving from story to story each day of the week. While I, on the other hand, have gotten myself good and wet, thoroughly immersed in some timely issue, some fascinating people, exciting outdoor adventures. I have also traveled from corner to corner, thousands of miles, and here is a little secret: I have loved every minute of it. Part of the pleasure I enjoy is the opportunity to bring those stories to you. And this week on Grants Getaways, it's 2 getaways for the price of 1 stop along the Umpqua River, where we discover dancing antlers and Oregon's one and only secret garden. And we poke around western Oregon on a backroad byway to Astoria and find spring wildflowers, abundant hiking trails, and a spectacular waterfall. And Oregon City shows off a new monumental mural that captures the Oregon outdoors. We meet the artist of the unique art project and see how it was done. But first, let's follow the footsteps of Lewis and Clark on the Fort to Sea Trail near Astoria and learn more about the early days in the Oregon country. When you visit Fort Clatsop National Historical Park near Astoria, be ready for an explosive experience.
1, 2, 3.
It's a black powder demonstration that really gets your attention at the replica Fort Clatsop that was winter home for Lewis and Clark's Corps of Discovery in 1805.
We have rangers down here in costume, and we do different talks and demonstrations. So we usually have a couple of folks in the fort just answering questions, telling the Lewis and Clark story and the Clatsop story.
Step into the Fort Clatsop Museum and learn more about the remarkable cross-country journey through exhibits, drawings, and equipment that put you in touch with history. Then hit the trail and explore the outdoors where Lewis and Clark made history, perhaps along the awesome 7-mile-long Fort to Sea Trail. If you're lucky, Carla Cole can teach you much about what you're seeing when you step in at the park's unique botanical garden.
Have a place where this is easily accessible to visitors and they can see a nice variety and diversity of some of the native plants of the area.
The garden boasts native plants that the explorers collected and documented, like Pacific silverweed or purple-blossomed camas, the arrow-leafed wapato, all prized as staple food sources.
One of their prime directives was to catalog and observe the plants and animals they encountered and be thinking about what might be valuable economically or culturally. That's why they spent so much time and effort, really precisely detailing them and collecting them and going to all that work.
The Fort to Sea Trail stretches from Fort Clatsop nearly 7 miles to the ocean. Atop Clatsop Ridge, you can see the ocean in the distance, and then learn that there are an additional 6 miles of looped trails that allow you to walk in the footsteps of Lewis and Clark, like the South Slough Trail. In 2007, the National Park Service restored South Slough Estuarine Marsh, where Lewis and Clark documented abundant bird life and baby salmon. Stroll the South Slough Boardwalk that keeps your feet dry above the marsh and see more of the plants that Lewis and Clark collected. Salmonberry and salal, common enough today, but in 1805, neither had been seen by Western scientists before.
The plants are all still here. All of these plants that you see here today, these are the same species that were here when Lewis and Clark were here and wrote about them in their journals.
It is all a terrific time for exploration, adventure, and education. Fort Clatsop and the Fort to Sea Trails are waiting for you anytime. Time to visit a nearby sandy stretch that many folks call Clam Heaven, and a place to get you started with the right gear and the right advice for razor clamming on this outdoor tip of the week.
Okay, here we go, Grant. There's all kinds of them here. Right here. See them?
Steve Fick likes to say he digs his beachside recreation, razor clamming.
These look like clams right here. We're looking for dimples in the sand.
Steve grew up in Astoria, so when the tide goes out, his dinner table is set with fresh razor clams.
This is just like Easter egg hunting.
He uses a short-handled shovel, especially designed for digging the soft sand, where thousands of people will flock to dig hundreds of thousands of razor clams from 18 miles of shoreline between Seaside and the Columbia River.
And that's where 95% of the clams in Oregon are dug, is on this beach right here.
Other diggers, like Paul Watt, rely on double-fisted, long-barreled stainless steel clam guns.
It's addicting because you never know what you're going to get for a clam, big one or a little one, or it's just a lot of fun. I love it.
But if you don't know a clam show from a sideshow, here's where you start. England Marine in Astoria.
There's nobody that can come into Astoria and not find something here they need. Bring your wife, your kid. We've got extra stuff for little kids. It's wide ranging.
Mark Ackrell is a longtime manager at England Marine and, importantly, a lifelong coastie who knows all about razor clamming, especially those popular clam guns.
And they work great. They're easy in and out of the sand. If you've got a bad back, the new air tubes break the seal on the sand so you can pull them up really easy.
Favorites include tools that mean business, like the Clam Hawk, the larger Clam Hog, and the Granddaddy Boss Hog.
5.5-inch tube. I don't have to be a good shot. I'm a tall, heavy-set guy, so it goes in and out of the sand real easy. It's up here. And an awesome gun too.
And when it comes to clam shovels, it's important to remember
shovels are not meant to be used like a garden spade. You don't put it in the ground and pry back on it. You slide the shovel in, you pull out a little sliver of sand, you stick your hand down in and grab the clam. And anybody good at it is way faster than anybody with a gun.
Ackrell adds that each clammer must dig and carry their own limit of 15 razors, have a shellfish license, it's required for 14 and older, and finally, consider England Marine your one-stop shopping center for your next razor clam adventure.
We've got everything you need to go clam digging, boots, rain gear, obviously guns, shovels, bags. We can actually give you some advice on where to go.
Stay with us. 2 getaways for the price of 1 stop along the Umpqua River, where we discover dancing antlers and Oregon's one and only secret garden, when Grants Getaways continues. If the best surprises are those you least expect, then the dancing antlers along Highway 38, 3 miles east of Reedsport, are guaranteed to stop you in your tracks.
It's an unusual thing that you don't really see that happen too often.
But Dean Creek's elk are just the start. The real showstopper is just up the road at Spruce Reach Island.
Everything from white, cream, pink, reds, oranges, yellows, purples. And once you get them established, don't require a whole lot. And that's one reason why you see what you see.
You see thousands of rhodies and azaleas and camellias, over 300 different species, when you discover Oregon's secret garden.
It's pretty amazing.
It's a public place built by a private Oregon man. Howard Hinsdale was a successful Oregon businessman who began transforming his 55-acre Spruce Reach Island right after World War II.
It's unlike any garden I've ever been in because we're so used to those really manicured English gardens. You come here and it's like a wild garden almost. He spent a lot of time planning and putting this garden together in a very specific way.
Hinsdale imported rare rhodies and giant spruce trees from as far away as England, barged them through the Panama Canal, and delivered them to his island. Hinsdale created an oasis of calm, but it took 20 years of hard work.
This was swampland. He had to dredge this river to build this on an island. All these spruce trees, all these trees here, he brought them here. Those weren't growing here. He brought these here.
Here was an escape from hectic hubbub and stressful business life, just as it is today. Hinsdale's secret garden lasted until 1994.
And then the government bought it. When we found out what it was that we had, we started working on it and tried to open it up because that's what Mr. Hinsdale did.
The BLM recently teamed up with local Friends of Hinsdale Garden. They plan to open the place more often so more visitors can see and appreciate one Oregonian's vision for peace and solitude.
You walk in and you get in there and say, oh my God. It's that awe feeling. And I think this is what he was after here. And I think he achieved it.
Stay with us. We poke around Western Oregon on a backroad byway to Astoria and find spring wildflowers, abundant hiking trails, and a spectacular waterfall when Grants Getaways continues. Astoria, Oregon is the oldest town site west of the Rockies and where you'll find remarkable adventures. Exploring the Astoria Column, or the Liberty Theater, or the Columbia River Maritime Museum.
Cast off.
The Columbia River's early days come alive when you join lifelong local Mark Schecker aboard his Arrow.
I just like history. I just like what people did and how hard they had to work and make a living back then. It was a lot more interesting time, in my opinion.
Those interesting times are easy to come by when you travel south and east of Astoria and Warrenton, skirting the Youngs River estuary on State Highway 202. Astoria's backdoor byway unwinds a slow and scenic adventure into the area's earliest days, like the short hike down a worn path to reach Youngs River Falls. Named for a British naval officer in 1792, it's a whopper that's worth a pause. So is this, the Wildlife Center of the North Coast.
How are you doing?
Just 9 miles from town.
There we go. She's been here since she was a chick, so very, very comfortable around people. 8 years old this summer.
It's a trauma ward for birds on the brink.
Yeah.
The ones that won't make it without a helping hand.
It's the only wildlife rehabilitation center on the entire Oregon coast. It is the only rehabilitation center in Oregon that can take in and care for seabirds, a resource that's unique to this area.
Special guided tours can be arranged, and an open house the first weekend in May allows you a visit. While just down the road, cruise in for some R&R of your own.
Well, most important thing is, it's the only place on 202. Welcome to Olney.
Olney, Oregon was founded in Oregon's early days by Cyrus Olney, one of the state's first Supreme Court justices. He established a town site on the Youngs River in the late 1800s. But 100 years ago, the highway was built and the town moved closer to it, and the Olney Saloon and General Store followed.
We don't have a deep fryer. We're not fast food. We cook everything to order. We have burgers, we have wraps, we have mac and cheese, we have specials. Try to mix it up so you don't get bored.
I like that it's a really comfortable atmosphere and kid-friendly, and the food is delicious.
It's a nice scenic drive. It's a good excuse to get off at 26 with all the hubbub, slow down a little bit, but it's definitely easier on your brain and your heart. Less stressful.
State Highway 202 is not the fastest roadway between Portland and the Pacific, but it is the perfect backdoor byway for peace and solitude.
And the sun's finally coming out.
I know.
It's gorgeous.
Elijah and Gabby Hanley agree. Heart-stopping moments are easy to come by on this back road, where little trails lead to big discoveries, like Lee Wooden Park just off Highway 202.
Well, this is perfect weather for waterfall shooting.
Today, Elijah eyeballs Fishhawk Falls. It does so in a 75-foot foamy moment.
I'm gonna give it a go.
Okay.
He decides on a quick scoot for a closer look.
A really nice, tight composition. The way the water's breaking apart in the upper falls is nice, and then the stream leads out of the lower left-hand corner here to kind of guide your eye into the frame.
Soon another Highway 202 pull-off feels right at home at the Jewel Wildlife Area.
In the elk, a couple of the viewing areas will come right up next to you. It's incredible to be that close and personal with these big animals.
Elijah is a big believer in a simple approach to wildlife, so he tries to isolate each subject.
We love shooting in the fog or the snow to create these crisp white backdrops so you can really focus on the animal. You can see all the texture in the fur, their antlers, and really isolate the animal against a simple backdrop.
Gabby and Elijah agree that it's important to dive deep wherever you travel. It's the journey that supports the destination.
Not go to necessarily the biggest spots that everyone goes
the
to,
touristy
the touristy spots, but really look around the area and see what else you can find that's unique and special and a little more off the beaten path.
So hurry here soon and then slow down on a backroad byway that's one of the best around. Stay with us. Oregon City shows off a new monumental mural that captures the Oregon outdoors. We meet the artist of the unique art project to see how it was done when Grants Getaways continues. Creekside time in early fall slows down as the tiny things come into view.
I love the way the water changes the color of the rocks.
A time when an artist sees what most of us miss.
Above the water, they're a whole different thing than below the water, and I love that.
Sherry Erickson fell in love with the Oregon outdoors as a kid. Her skill at capturing the details is surpassed only by her passion for the place.
When I paint, I become hyper aware of light and noises. You can hear the water move the rocks, kind of a weird sort of rhythm, and you can hear the rocks under the water. After a while, you get tuned into that kind of thing.
Erickson calls herself a natural illustrator who lets landscapes breathe life into her work. She has traveled the region for work with wildlife agencies, and her favorite waterfowl, right there, harlequin ducks.
They migrate up and down streams, then everybody will go to sea, and they'll be at sea for a while. It's a really interesting life cycle that they have.
Inside a cozy studio in Forest Grove, Oregon, she boasts a 4-decade-long career as a professional artist, whose passion was born from childhood backpacking and fishing trips with her dad. Recently, Erickson won recognition on a stupendous, absolutely monumental scale. Here, the new Clackamas County Courthouse, a 6-story, 240,000 square foot centerpiece for the county's government campus in Oregon City.
I mean, you can't miss it. It's like in-your-face mural. And the rest of the building's very modern and very quiet. It kind of plays off each other, I think. And so having this organic mural in there, I think it looks great together.
2 murals, each measures 9 feet tall and nearly 40 feet long. Her idea was to show off the county's natural world in a competition she entered and won last spring. Her work was born of a simple idea: the outdoors can heal.
Helps people relax and get away from their everyday cares, so it doesn't trigger anybody with PTSD or anything like that, which is important in a space like this.
More impressive, the murals are a blend of her art and new technology that took her tiny paintings and created gigantic digital murals.
It's my actual painting that I took a photograph of. We blew it way up, and then I repainted everything digitally by hand, just like regular, no paint, just digital though. It looks like paint.
Her massive digital files, numbered in the hundreds of gigabytes each, were sent to Solberg Industries in Utah.
Typically we print colors, we print office graphics, we print logos, but this was the first time that we did in fact print artist's artwork to be installed as an art installation.
The murals were created as scores of acoustic panels made from recycled plastics that provide incredible, colorful, accurate details.
I was ecstatic to be able to see what we were able to do with her work, and specifically to see the quality of her work made me excited. Every panel was exciting to me.
Back at the courthouse, the remarkable monumental murals capture the Clackamas County mountains and watersheds, the wildlife and the plants.
My purpose being an artist is not for me, it's for other people. So when I put my art out there, when I hear people say, oh, that reminds me of a place I've been, or it makes me relaxed or whatever, then I've done what I'm supposed to do.
And aren't we lucky that's so true? We have all the details, directions, and the contact information for all the stories in this week's show on the KGW website, so be sure to check it out. Finally, it's always been my hope that Grants Getaways helps people smile and swell a bit with pride for all there is to see and do in Oregon. For gosh sakes, why live here if you don't go searching for those singular moments that set Oregon apart from just about everywhere else? So get out here and explore the Oregon outdoors and let KGW's Grants Getaways be your guide. For KGW and Grants Getaways, I'm Grant McComb.
Grants Getaways on KGW is sponsored by Bellbuoy of Seaside, England Marine and Industrial Supply, and Fishhawk Fisheries.